Today we present to you part 2 of Reason and Wisdom, selections from On Thoughts and Aphorisms by the Mother, Vegetarian, as we continue our inner journey of self-realization. Mira Alfassa, who became known as the Mother or Shrima, was born in 1878 in Paris, France. Although she showed great artistic, musical, and writing talent at an early age, her real interest was the spiritual side of life. Based on her inner experience and guidance by a saint she later recognized as Sri Aurobindo, she traveled to India in 1914, where she met him for the first time.
As soon as I saw Sri Aurobindo, I recognized in him the well-known being whom I used to call Krishna. And this is enough to explain why I am fully convinced that my place and my work are near him in India.
Sri Aurobindo conferred the title of the Mother in recognition of her embodiment of the principles of the Divine Mother. When the decision was made to create an ashram in 1926, Sri Aurobindo entrusted all the spiritual and material tasks of running the ashram to the Mother. For the next 50 years, under her loving guidance, the ashram developed into a spiritual center for truth seekers. The Mother went on to found 2 more organizations, the Sri Aurobindo International Center of Education, offering courses from kindergarten through university level, and a visionary community called Auroville, or the City of Dawn. The Mother also developed an extensive series of spiritual writings. These highlight a goal of ultimate union with the divine, along with becoming master of ourselves and our destiny. Shining through all of her work is the Mother's love and devotion to God. Though she left her body in 1973, the 17 volumes of collected works of the Mother forever serve as a shining guidance and inspiration for spiritual seekers. The following passages come from the Mother's book on Thoughts and Aphorisms, where she expounds on the following quote by Sri Aurobindo. Either do not give the name of knowledge to your beliefs only and of error, ignorance or charlatanism to the beliefs of others, or do not rail at the dogmas of the schools and their intolerance. The dogmas of schools and the intolerance of religions come from the fact that the schools and religions consider their beliefs alone to be knowledge, and the beliefs of others to be error, ignorance, or charlatanism. This simple movement causes them to set up what they believe to be true as dogma and to violently condemn what others believe to be true. To think that your knowledge is the only true one, that your belief is the only true one, and that others' beliefs are not true, is to do precisely what is done by all schools and religions. So, if you are doing exactly the same thing as the schools and religions, you have no right to mock them. You do the same thing without being aware of it because it seems quite natural to you. What Sri Aurobindo wants to make you understand is that when you say, "We are in possession of the truth, and what is not this truth is an error," though you may not dare say it in such a crude way, you are doing exactly the same thing as all the religions and all the schools. If you objectify a little, you will see that you have spontaneously, without realizing it, established as knowledge everything you have learnt, everything you have thought, everything which has given you the impression of being particularly true and of major importance, and you are quite ready to contradict any different notion held by those who say, No, it is like this, it is not like that. If you watch yourself in action, you will understand the mechanism of this intolerance, and you will immediately be able to put an end to all these useless discussions. This brings us back to what I have already told you once. The contact which you have had with the truth of things, your personal contact, a contact which is more or less clear, profound, vast, pure, may have given you, as an individual, an interesting, perhaps even a decisive experience. But although this contact may have given you an experience of decisive importance, you must not imagine that it is a universal experience and that the same contact would give others the same experience. And if you understand this, that it is something purely personal, individual, subjective, that it is not at all an absolute and general law, then you can no longer despise the knowledge of others, nor seek to impose your own point of view and experience upon them. This understanding obviates all mental quarrels, which are always totally useless. Obviously, the first part of the aphorism can be taken as advice, but this is not what Sri Aurobindo meant when he wrote it. He wanted to make us conscious of the error we make ourselves, but ridicule in others. This is a habit with us, not only in this particular case, but in all cases. It is rather remarkable that when we have a weakness, for example, a ridiculous habit, a defect, or an imperfection, since it is more or less part of our nature, we consider it to be very natural. It does not shock us. But as soon as we see this same weakness, this same imperfection, this same ridiculous habit in someone else, it seems quite shocking to us. And we say, "What? He's like that?" without noticing that we ourselves are like that. And so to the weakness and imperfection, we add the absurdity of not even noticing them. There is a lesson to be drawn from this. When something in a person seems to you completely unacceptable or ridiculous, "What? He is like that? He behaves like that? He says things like that? He does things like that?" You should say to yourself, well, but perhaps I do the same thing, without being aware of it. I would do better to look into myself first, before criticizing him, so as to make sure that I am not doing the very same thing in a slightly different way. If you have the good sense and intelligence to do this each time you are shocked by another person's behavior, you will realize that in life, your relations with others are like a mirror which is presented to you so that you can see more easily and clearly the weaknesses you carry within you. In a general and almost absolute way, anything that shocks you in other people is the very thing you carry in yourself in a more or less veiled, more or less hidden form, though perhaps in a slightly different guise, which allows you to delude yourself. And what in yourself seems inoffensive enough becomes monstrous as soon as you see it in others. Try to experience this. It will greatly help you to change yourselves. At the same time, it will bring a sunny tolerance to your relationships with others, the goodwill which comes from understanding, and it will very often put an end to these completely useless quarrels. One can live without quarreling. It seems strange to say this because, as things are, it would seem on the contrary, that life is made for quarreling in the sense that the main occupation of people who are together is to quarrel, overtly or covertly. You do not always come to words. You do not always come to blows, fortunately. But you are in a state of perpetual irritation within, because you do not find around you the perfection that you would yourself wish to realize and which you find rather difficult to realize, but you find it entirely natural that others should realize it. How can they be like that? You forget how difficult you find it in yourself not to be like that. Try, you will see. Look upon everything with a benevolent smile. Take all the things which irritate you as a lesson for yourself, and your life will be more peaceful and more effective as well. For a great percentage of your energy certainly goes to waste in the irritation you feel when you do not find in others the perfection that you would like to realize in yourself. You stop short at the perfection that others should realize, and you are seldom conscious of the goal you should be pursuing yourself. If you are conscious of it, well then begin with the work which is given to you. That is to say, realize what you have to do, and do not concern yourself with what others do, because after all, it is not your business. And the best way to the true attitude is simply to say, all those around me, all the circumstances of my life, all the people near me are a mirror held up to me by the divine consciousness to show me the progress I must make. Everything that shocks me in others means work I have to do in myself. And perhaps if one carried true perfection in oneself, one would discover it more often in others. For more information about the Mother and Sri Aurobindo, please visit sriaurobindoashram.org.
Don't choose vegan. Be a tough guy. Burn in hellfire.
Respectful viewers, it has been a pleasure to have your company for today's episode on Words of Wisdom.